So Alif Laam Meem, if Allah Ta'ala were to speak to human beings at the very beginning of the conversation that he wanted to have with them, the perfect conversation, it's not the first time Allah Ta'ala is conversing with people, right? उन्होंने पहले भी किताबें भेजी है और बड़ी सलीस उस ज़माने की ज़बानों में वो किताबें भेजी है. But when he sent the perfect, and I will not even say kitab because kutub का जो root word है is the law, not the written book only. It's the law. And within law is hikmah, because Allah Ta'ala ne hai Quran al-Hakim, ya Kitab al-Hakim also. It's the one with wisdom. So if Allah Ta'ala was speaking to insan only, he would not have started with Alif Laam Meem. He would have started with something that they already were familiar with. And if you were to look at just the makeup of Alif Laam Meem, the three letters put together in the form that they have been put together, if you listen to the formation of these, they had never been put together in this form before in the entirety of Arabic language. And remember, Arabs were very proud people. They felt like they knew a lot. They felt like they had achieved a lot. They felt that they were poets. And when I say Arabs, I mean us now. All the reflections now. Hame bahut pata hai. We have, Mama, you don't know anything. I'm on the internet. You're like the older millennial. So when Allah began his conversation with those people, he started off with what my son would call bamboozle them, with Alif Laam Meem. And so many alim and so many fikr karne wale have tried to understand and tried to decode और उधर ही फंस गए हैं for a long time कि Alif Laam Meem का मतलब क्या है. But the entire point of starting a conversation with insan with Alif Laam Meem has actually 2 points to it. One is you don't know anything. And the second, equally beautiful one, because one is of absolute humility. Hey, you person who thinks you're wise and you've lived life and you have a lot of experience, Alif Laam Meem, you don't know anything. But also, on the other point, Alif Laam Meem, I'm not speaking to the insan of you. I'm not speaking to your 5 senses, which are asking you to understand and apply your logic. I'm speaking to the ruh of you. Alif Laam Meem. I'm speaking to the ruh of you. The one which is connected to the unknown. The one, you know where you've come from. Alif Laam Meem. I'm not speaking to just insan. I'm speaking to the ruh of you. So Quran has not been sent. The very beginning it's been established. It's not been sent for the 5 senses of insan alone. Primarily, it is for the ruh part of us, where we originally come from. For us, and why? Because Allah Ta'ala understands. Why Quran at all? क्या ज़रूरत थी? कोई मतलब 10 और जैसा पहले 10 कमांडमेंट्स थी 20 कमांडमेंट्स भेज देते, पूरी एक किताब, एक पूरा एक वे ऑफ लाइफ करने की क्या ज़रूरत है? बिकॉज अल्लाह ताला अंडरस्टैंड्स दिस इवन व्हेन वी फॉरगेट कि हम इंसान खाली नहीं हैं, हम रूहें हैं और हम लोग यहाँ पे दब जाएंगी और यहाँ पे हम लोग घुट जाएंगे और यहाँ पे हमें सांस नहीं आएगा और यहाँ पे हम लोग we will get lost because हम उन रूहें हैं having a human experience. So Allah Ta'ala said, hey, speaking to those ruhe Alif Laam Meem, hey you guys, don't worry. I have the ghaza for you. And which you? The ruh of you. And when you feed the ruh of you, it's like feeding your primary life force. When you feed the motherboard, the ruh of you, the body of you will automatically, the senses of you will automatically get nourished. Why is Quran called the antidote to diseases of the body and of the heart? Because Quran is an antidote, is a medicine, is the life force, is the drip for the ruh. And when the ruh gets nourished continuously, the body automatically responds to that nourishment. इस दुनिया में कोई ऐसी नरिशमेंट नहीं है जो रूह को नरिश कर सके. This dunya is based on the 5 senses. It's based on the ruh aspect of us. It's not created for the ruh. That's the asman, that's the jannat, that's the place that we come from, that's the place of Allah. तो जिसको गज़ा जो जहाँ से हम लोग आए हैं, हमें जब तक वहाँ की गज़ा नहीं मिलेगी, we will always be living half lives or sick lives or diseased lives or lost lives. So Alif Laam Meem, you don't know anything. And it's okay that you don't know anything, because I'm speaking to the soul of you, which is still connected to me. Think of it as an umbilical cord. And that's how I began to understand my relationship with Allah, when I had to feel my way into it. I said कि एक वो umbilical cord है जो काटती जाती है, जब मेरी माँ ने मुझे पैदा किया. But मेरी एक रूह की umbilical cord है, connected to the womb of my Allah, because He has introduced Himself as Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Raham. Raham ka womb, root word, womb. Raham ka root word is womb. Subhanallah. And again, He's introduced Himself as the one, when He speaks of His Rahmah, as the one who loves you as much as 17,000 mothers, 70 mothers, 70,000, I don't know. So when He introduces Himself as Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, 70 mothers, 70 mothers, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Raham being the womb of Allah, that means that there is an umbilical cord of my soul that's connected to His womb. And there is a forever beautiful liquid flowing from His womb of Rahmah, from His womb of Rahmah to the soul of me, forever flowing, forever flowing. And so Alif Laam Meem, you don't know anything, insan, but Ruh, you remember. So I'm not even going to speak to you in the insan language, Allah Ta'ala says, because you may forget that you're in your Ruh first, but I've not forgotten. I'm your creator. I will speak to you in Ruh language. It's Alif Laam Meem. It's a language between the God and the spirit. So insan can either be humble in their ignorance, or the Ruh can be elevated in their connection. Depends on which part of you are identifying more with today. Either I and both of you, and it's all will be, and I said, I do mean today, because sometimes we will identify ourselves as being insan first, when it hurts, and when we feel pain, when we feel broken, when we feel sadness, when we feel grief, we are insan first. And in that moment, Alif Laam Meem, I don't know the entirety of this story as insan. Because when you approach Alif Laam Meem as insan, abhi jo bhi main feel kar rahi hu, mere jo bhi circumstances, and this is what I'm feeling, but I know that it's still not the whole story. I know that this is still not the whole story. And when you know that this is not the whole story, the four walls which seem to be closing in on you are still not the whole story, because Alif Laam Meem, that means that there is a window, or there is a place or a door that I'm not aware of right now. There is a beautiful hope that stems from when you approach Alif Laam Meem from an insan perspective. It may feel like this is it, but Alif Laam Meem, this is not it. This is not the whole story. I don't know everything. I don't know anything. And Alif Laam Meem, and on days when you want to identify yourself as a Ruh first, it's like, oh my God, my Allah Ta'ala knows how to speak to my Ruh in a language that my Ruh understands. So even if my senses don't understand what Alif Laam Meem is, Alif Laam Meem is my assurance from Allah Ta'ala, written down in words, that there's an umbilical cord attached to my Ruh, the other end of which is in His womb. And there's a constant nourishment flowing it from me. This is what is my magic mantra? When nothing in this world or my senses are telling me, this is it. My senses are telling me I have no way out. Alif Laam Meem. There is an umbilical cord that's attached to the Rahmah of Allah, because that's how He's chosen to introduce Himself to me. And my Ruh knows. I lean into my not knowing even more now. And when you lean into, because look at the ayah that comes after Alif Laam Meem, it's so beautiful. I'm falling in love with Surah Baqarah, by the way. So I give myself a challenge to read Surah Baqarah every day, and I'm on it, alhamdulillah. So, Zalikal Kitab la rayba fihi hudal lil muttaqin. which is this, that is the book. There is no doubt about it, a guide for those mindful of Allah. So, kitab, as we said, although this is the literal definition, going back to the umbilical cord part, Allah Ta'ala does not say this is the book, because that means he'd be referring to the tangible, the book in this world. He's saying that is the book. The origin of this, so Zalikal Kitaba, that is the book. He's referring to the origin of this book in the heaven, where it is safe in a place, I forget the name, of course, forever, written down forever. And that as a source, from that source, from that umbilical cord, this hadaya is coming to us. Allah could have easily said, oh, this is a book made for insan, but Alif Laam Meem ने पहले establish कर दिया है कि अगर आप as इंसान हो तो आपको कुछ नहीं पता, मगर by the way ये रूहों के लिए किताब बनाई गई है. Alif Laam Meem ये रूहों की ज़बान है. Okay, and then he says, just so you know, कि खाली ये, you're not like, you don't doubt it, that is the book. ये उस किताब की ज़बान है. And so he's referred that, the one that is distant from you in the heavens, distant from the insan part of you. And आगे उन्होंने, what has he said about the book? La raiba fihi, in it is hidayah. The root word of hidayah, what we've been taught is not true. Hidayah is, the meaning is true. Hidayah is guidance, but the root word is so beautiful. It's not guidance, it's a gift. It's a gift. The root word of hidayah is a gift. It's not, because guidance, and I struggle. I'm so glad I'm beginning to at least receive the root word part of it, because I struggle with these things. Allah Ta'ala समझ रहे हैं कि हम लोग बिल्कुल ही गए गुजरे हैं, बिल्कुल ही lost हैं, हमें तो बहुत ज़रूरत है guidance की. मुझे तो पहले पता था मैं बिल्कुल ही lost हूँ, बिल्कुल ही lose हूँ. मुझे तो ज़रूर guidance की ज़रूरत है. But gift. And who do you gift to? It's not charity. It's not वो आप किसी को वो ये अल्लाह ताला नहीं कही है मेरी तरफ से आपके लिए charity है. Who do you give a gift to? One who is beloved to you. The one who is honored by you. The one who is treasured by you. The one that you care about a lot. The one जिसकी खुशी में आप खुश होते हो, जिसके गम में आपको sadness हो. जैसे हम कहते हैं हम नफ्स हमारे साथ का. You give gifts to those, right? So in that book is hidayah, a gift for you. And in it is guidance for you. So hidayah is guidance. For whom? For the muttaqi. So I'll read the ayah again. It's a short one. Zalikal kitaba, that book, that is the book. There is no doubt about it. Raib is doubt. Hudan lil muttaqin fihi, in it. Hudan is hidayah, a gift for whom? Not for everybody. Lil muttaqin. Muttaqi, again the same root word as taqwa. But here's the cool part. Again, look at the root word of taqwa. Of course, it's about, oh my God, God consciousness, blah, blah. Not blah, blah, I'm after. Like, it's very true, okay? But look at the root word of taqwa. Arabs used to use it. I don't know the exact word, but Arabs used to use the root word for taqwa for a horse which had lost one of its horseshoe. वो जो स्टील के horseshoes नहीं होते जो उसके पे पहना, to do what? To protect its feet. So what happens when a horse loses one of its horseshoe? It is very, very, very careful about every step that it's taking, because it doesn't want to hurt itself. Focus on this a little bit. Very, very, very careful of every step that he's taking, because it does not want to hurt itself. Not because, oh, there is Allah watching, and no, because it has to run a race later, and not because the person who owns the horse will be upset. No, the horse is being very, very careful because it doesn't want to hurt itself. It has nothing to do with another human being or another entity at all. That's the root word of taqwa. And so we rebel when we say, oh, we have to have God consciousness. Why? Because it's going to make our lives harder and it's just going to add more complications and give you more things to do. Taqwa is designed so that you don't hurt yourself. It's not for Allah Ta'ala. He doesn't need it. It's just for you. Be very, very careful. And so, again, look at this. So the hadaya, the gift in this book, subhanAllah, thank you, Allah. So the gift in this book is not for Muslims. He did not say in the ayah, for example, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابَ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. No. He said muttaqi. So whoever comes to this book with the intention of, hey Allah Ta'ala, I've done a lot of things in my life that I've hurt myself with. And I want to take a moment here on spiritually what that hurt looks like. And it's said in hadith also that every time that we do something that hurts ourselves, whether it's an action or a value that we go by, हमारे दिल के ऊपर एक काला दाग लगता है. Every time we do something to hurt ourselves, और फिर एक और काला, एक और, like it's a physical thing that happens on our heart. Every time we hurt ourselves. And what are the ways that we hurt ourselves in? By not putting ourselves first, by belittling our own selves, by not feeling that we're worthy, by settling for third best, fourth best, fifth best things and people and relationships in our lives, by choosing to remain in traumatic relationships, by choosing to not acknowledge the hurts that our caregivers or our friends or our partners or our siblings have caused us. And because we don't do that, what our behavior looks like is unhealthy relationships, unhealthy conversations, unhealthy habits, unhealthy addictions, basically unhealthy choices which are not good for us. Basically, McDonald's drive-through 3 times a day is what our hurt looks like. And imagine, like we throw up, right? If we actually physically, I think it's so easy to equate our spiritual experience with the physical experience because we all have reflections of it. Hurting ourselves perpetually emotionally, we feel does not affect us. But imagine having McDonald's 3 times a day, every day, for months on an end. And that's all you're having. And yes, you may have a lot of water in between, but the physical nourishment that you're giving your body is McDonald's drive-through. And I'm not on a once a week, like really, like whatever, treating yourself 3 times every day. That's the equivalent of the emotional hurt that we caused ourselves by not acknowledging our own emotions or not acknowledging our own needs yet. By saying to other people, I'm crap. Please treat me more like crap, to show me, to validate how crap I am. And when you validate me, then further I will say, yes, I already knew I was such a crap person. And now I've started the cycle. And now there's a cycle of crap going on. That's the emotional hurt that we cause ourselves every day. And so when we are asked to be people of taqwa, Allah Ta'ala says, imagine as if, again, he's speaking to Ruhe, yaar. Awesome, dude. Like, he's saying, as insan, okay, as Ruhe, we are horses with 4 horseshoes. As insan, we've lost 1 horseshoe. So Allah Ta'ala is like, please behave like you've lost 1 horseshoe. Don't behave like you're like a full raging stallion right now going to win the race. Because you're not. Because the fullness of you is the root. And as insan, you've already lost 1 horseshoe. It's a demotion of some sort, right? It's a loss of some sort, which is Surah Asr also. وَالْأَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. It is a loss to be away from the source of nourishment, to be away from the womb of Allah is a loss. Now we can make that loss to be very exciting and filled with champagne and confetti and Netflix and a lot of cigarettes and dope, like a lot of friends and music and traveling and degrees and high profile careers. We can try to fill all of that. We can't run away from the fact that we are away from the womb of Allah. It's a primary loss that we feel all the time. So how do we plug that loss? Is by mindfully understanding, first of all, that we're a horse which has lost one shoe, 100%, no doubt, right? And now I've got to learn to walk like a horse which does not have one shoe. That means I've got to be very, very careful about not hurting myself. And how am I very, very careful? How do I learn to do that? Suddenly, Alif Laam Meem, by coming to Quran. One word, if nothing else, just keep one word, Alif Laam Meem, just read that every day. It's the activation of the umbilical cord between your ruh and the womb of Allah, your creator. That's it. It's just being mindful of that cord, Alif Laam Meem. And the next ayah that he says, beautiful, is Allazina yu'minuna bil ghaibi wa yuqimus salata wa mimma razaqnahum yunfiqun. So look at because remember, this is the introduction of Allah to his people, right? Introduction, speaking to the ruh of us. So he did not start off with one who believe in one Allah. So check this out. Alif Laam Meem, you don't know anything, but hey, Ruhi, you remember. Zalikul Kitaba, it is not this book, it is that book. There is no doubt about it. Within it is a gift for you. When you believe that you are a horse which has lost one shoe. And who are you when you believe that? You believe in the unseen. He's still not talking about Musalman in that way. He's like the first principle of you coming to this book is when you believe in the unseen. Now, if he was just talking to insan, it's a big leap for insan to suddenly believe in the unseen. But he knows who he's talking to. He's speaking to the ruh, which you actually cannot see, unseen, not unfelt, not unexperienced, unseen. Saying, who is this gift for? Say if I had to book this gift from the creator to a WhatsApp group. My WhatsApp group would say people who believe in the unseen. That's what this gift is going to mass, right? So I'll just select all of those people and add their addresses and phone numbers and send that gift to those people. And it's again, look at the version of that in our everyday current life. We already have these WhatsApp groups where people who are not heard or seen or don't feel heard or seen anywhere else come to those safe places like these to remember who they are. So this book, what is this gift for? What's the benefit of this gift? For people who believe in this unseen. Why is that the first filter? अगर हम लोग कोई सर्वे भी करा रहे होते हैं ना तो हम लोग filters should say if we targeting like one particular demographic. So we say if you don't fall between the ages of say 40 to 45, you don't qualify for the survey. So the first filter that he's applied for the recipients of this gift are people who believe in the unseen. Why? Why did he not apply any other filter? Why the people who believe in the unseen? Because he knows that he's still talking to the ruh. He knows the ruh remembers. And he knows that when we begin to connect with ourselves as ruh first, then we don't rely on the seen. In fact, again, going back to the energy principle, not only do we not rely on the seen, we do not believe in the seen. We only see the seen as a sign to tell us what we want or what we don't want. So people who believe in the unseen look at this world as a map to help them navigate where they want to go or where they not want to go. They don't look at this world as their reality. Where do we use maps? A map is not our ghar, right? A map is not our destination. We use the map to get to destination, right? That's when we open the maps. In the same way, when we are ruh first, souls first, We are not going to look at our reality as the destination. Whatever circumstance we are in, and no matter how many years we've been in that circumstance, it is not our destination. And I don't mean Akhira is our destination, by the way. Ultimately, yes. But remember, it's another session earlier. When people decode Akhira, or some alim decode Akhira, they only mean the afterlife. But Akhira is decoded also as, and particularly as, the end of whatever you're going through right now. Allah has created us. He knows that instant gratification is not good for us. He knows and delayed gratification is, because then we will really improve ourselves. But He's never said no gratification. Because quite frankly, if all of us were only waiting for us to receive our gratification from the afterlife, it'd be the hardest journey in the world. And I don't think any insan is equipped for truly getting the gratification. Look at the prophets. They've received their rewards in this world first. No prophet died unrewarded in this world as well. So when we say Akhirah, yes, it is of course the afterlife, but it is also the Akhirat of whatever circumstance you're going through. And people who believe in the unseen, they understand that whatever, because our primary lens is not dependent on our senses, we know what our destination is. Destination is whatever desire that we have, however we want to live our lives, however we envision living our lives. We have that desire held in the energetic space of our unseen, because we are energies first. And we're only going to use the world when we open our eyes as maps to help us tell us where to go, where not to go, and how to get out of this lane. Because I've been going around in circles on in this lane for a long time, for years now. And I seem to be lost. How do I get back onto the main road that's going to take me to where I want to be? That's how people who believe in the unseen behave, are asked to behave. Because they do not agree with because हम लोग रूहें हैं, ये कैसे हो सकता है कि ये लिमिटेड सा वर्ल्ड जिसमें 4 दरख्त, एक आसमान, 6 परिंदे, 15 बटरफ्लाइज और लाइक चलो 15 किस्म के खाने और 15 रिलेशनशिप्स, दैट्स इट. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But this still can't be it, right? It's so limited. It's still such a limited way to live in. And why do we feel limited? Because we're not insan first. If we didn't know, if we didn't have the ruh in us, we would have been happy with this world, yeah. It would have been enough for us. But why does our heart ache? Why do we want more? Why do we want that love? That book, remember? Why do we want that love? Why do we want that satisfaction? Why do we want that fulfillment? Why do we want that sukoon? Why do we want that tehrao? That? Because we are from that. We are actually extraterrestrials. जो भी ETs का हम लोग इंतजार कर रहे हैं ना, वो हम ही हैं बहनों भाई. We are the extraterrestrials. And we are remembering more and more as we wake up, we are remembering our extraterrestrial origins, which is the womb of Allah, which is the Rahmah of Allah. And therefore, we are now not satisfied with जितनी भी अपने हमें आप डिग्रीज दे दो, जितने हमें अवार्ड्स दे दो, जितने हमें पे चेक्स दे दो, जितने हमें आप नेटफ्लिक्स के शोज अपडेट कर दो, जितने हमें डिज़ाइनर ब्रांड्स बेच दो, हमें सुकून नहीं मिल रहा. हम सुकून में नहीं हैं. हमारे बैंक बैलेंसेस उमड़ भी रहे होंगे पैसों से, हमें वो सुकून नहीं. हमें वो सुकून चाहिए, हमें वो सब चाहिए, क्योंकि वी नो व्हाट दैट वो सब फील्स लाइक. वी नो ये जो फड़फड़ाहट है हमारे अंदर, ये एक इंसान की फड़फड़ाहट नहीं है, ये एक रूह की फड़फड़ाहट. हमारे रूह वाले परिंदे फड़फड़ा रहे. And therefore, Quran is for ruhi who believe in the unseen. Oh, hey, they're not attached to the senses. So, for example, my khala, who I look up to, admire in her taqwa, in her blind faith, what we call blind faith. What is blind faith? Does not mean don't question. Blind faith means no matter ek dheetpan. I love this. It's a dheetpan. मेरी जिंदगी में जो भी हो रहा है हो जाए. I know what I want is happening. And I know what I want is coming to me. I know. And my khala said that about her son, about her daughter. Subhanallah, yeah. My cousin, my first cousin, been married for 13 years, could not conceive. She got married first. She wouldn't like, there was a big whatever. So she was married for 13 years. My cousin who was trying and trying and trying got, of course, because हम इंसान भी है ना यार. अगर इतना आसान होता इंसान बनना तो फिर हमारा वो मकाम ना होता, हमारा फरिश्तों से ऊपर मकाम ना होता अगर इंसान बनना आसान होता. So everybody, but my khala kept saying, हो नहीं सकता, हो जाएगा जब टाइम होगा सही, हो जाएगा जब टाइम नहीं ना अभी सही होगा. 13 साल आपका टाइम ही नहीं सही हुआ. कौन सी घड़ी देख रही हैं आप बहन? इतने लोग, आपकी नजर है किस घड़ी पे? ये कौन सी घड़ी है, हमें भी दिखाया, हमने कहाँ से लिया, कौन सा टाइम आप देख? She had an unseen clock, divine timing. And my cousin has a beautiful baby boy, 6 months old now. After 13 years. Which clock was my khala looking at? Which clock? What otherworldly forces was she believing in? When the medical doctors, they live in the UK, and they're like very well placed, so they had access to the best of everything. सबने कहा नहीं, उनकी नजरें कहीं और टिकी हुई हैं, क्योंकि वो नजरें हैं कौन सी, वो इंसान की नजर ही नहीं है, वो है ही रूह की नजर. और वो जो रूह की नजर है, इट्स नॉट कंसर्न्ड अबाउट उसकी जिंदगी में क्या हो रहा है. Her husband lost his eyesight, then she lost her husband. He went back to Allah Ta'ala. Her son is not married. He is 3-4 years younger to me. Her daughter was not conceiving. और ये जो है ये पार्ट मतलब कुरान क्लासें किए जा रही हैं, लोगों को गिफ्ट दिए जा रही हैं, इनके टोटके बनाई जा रही हैं, हर्ब्स पीसे जा रही हैं. Like she's the publicest, most amazing. What the heck? What are you on, Khala? Like that's what are you on? And now we begin to understand a little bit about what she was on, what she is on. She's more connected to the root part of her, the umbilical cord part of her, the Alif Laam Meem part of her, than the insan part of her. Insan part of her is smiling a little bit. Because सारी चीजें तो आनी जानी है, तो होती है. My senses are deceiving me. And the only way we can say that my senses are deceiving me is when our actual real senses are tuned in to the source. That's the only time when you can say with conviction कि मेरी आंखें मुझे जरूर ये दिखा रही होंगी, but ये धोखा है. It's not permanent. It's shifting. It'll shift. और अगर ये है यहाँ पे, it's here to teach me something. क्योंकि actually तो मैं like what I'm seeing from the eyes of my heart, from the eyes of my ruh, is what the reality is. If that's the reality, right? If that is the reality, then this is तो सब टोपी ड्रामा है. It's just readjusting. थोड़ा सा readjustment phase है. वो जो ना रेडियो सिग्नल आप ट्यून कर रहे होते हो, थोड़ी सी ट्यूनिंग ट्यून हो गए, and then you receive your reality. बड़ी frustration होती है उस ट्यूनिंग में. It's not easy. But get this. The only person who's trying to find the tuning station knows which station it wants to tune into. जब आपको पता ही नहीं है कि FM 91 क्या होता है, तो you'll not be searching for FM 91, right? You'd be happy with जो भी और है, 88 or whatever. But if you're sitting there tuning for a while searching for 91, that means that you know what 91 is, and you know it's a better quality, you know it has better music, you know it has everything.